we are discussing about the difference between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Already we discussed about this topic. What is the differences? We have chance to observe. So after these differences means fundamental rights are justiciable, DPSP are non-justiciable, third part, fourth part, America, Ireland. These things we observed. After these, we need to understand the conflict between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. So what is the conflict? What is the conflict between the fundamental rights and DPSP? Why this conflict is arise? So we will try to understand some basic information before going to this topic. Just you observe, fundamental rights are provided for the development of individual, for the growth of individual. Always fundamental rights think about the benefit of the individual. These directive principles of state policy, these DPSP are meant for the development of the society. For example, if you take any fundamental right in third part of the Indian Constitution, it add some value, it provides some benefit to the individual. For example, right to life and personal liberty, right to freedom, everything provides some benefit to the individual. So we will try to understand one thing. Always fundamental rights think about the development of the individual, and fundamental rights try to provide the welfare of the individual or benefit to the individual. But directive principles of state policy is not meant for the individual. Directive principles of state policy thinking about the overall society, not individual. So if you take any directive principles of state policy, these directive principles of state policies thinking about the overall society. So in this context, sometimes if any fundamental right is implemented, some directive principles of state policy is violated. If some directive principle of state policy is implemented, some other fundamental right is violated. So because of these reasons, always we have a chance to observe the conflict between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. But if you observe in a broad manner in the society, individual freedom is important. At the same time, social harmony, overall society development is also important. So in this process, Parliament and Supreme Court try to balance between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. On that process, different types of judgments are delivered by the Supreme Court. Simultaneously, different types of constitutional amendments done by the Parliament. So first we will try to understand one thing. I will try to give an example. At the time of 1950, whenever we are having a right to property as a fundamental right, right to property is a fundamental right. Right to property was the fundamental right at the time of 1950. This right to property is there in the Article 31. In the same 1950, in the directive principles of state policy, we are having Article 39. Already we discussed about the Article 39 in directive principles of state policy, 39 small a, b, c, d, so many subclasses we discussed. So first you will try to understand this Article 31 is thinking about the individual benefits. So right to property is a fundamental right. Means if any individual, if he is having he is allowed to acquire property, that is right. At the same time, in the Article 39, if you observe, decentralization of wealth is the directive principle of state policy. For example, if you provide the right to property as a fundamental right, individuals, they acquired property, they hold property. So according to these Article 31, some people, according to their capacity, according to their views, their vision, they acquired some large properties, some lakhs of acres land and other properties. But whenever we incorporate Article 39 in the Constitution, that is the conflict. For example, it is very difficult. We provide right to property to the individual according to Article 31. At the same time, according to Article 39, decentralization of wealth is also there in the same constitution. In the third part of the Indian constitution, we are having a right to property. In the fourth part of the Indian constitution, we are having decentralization of wealth at the time of 1950. Because of this reason, these two, fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, both are conflict. In this process, always Supreme Court to try to think about the providing benefit to the individual. Always Supreme Court and judiciary, they will try to think about the individual. Parliament think about the society. So in this process, we have chance to observe the conflict between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. We have chance to observe some cases and parliament acts. So we will try to observe that. So first, we will try to observe. So you can remember one thing. In this process, we observe the judgment and the constitutional amendment both simultaneously. First, in the year 1950, we implement the constitution 1950, January 26 onwards, but in the same year, Gopalan versus Madras state case, 1950, it is one of the important case related to this. According to this Gopalan case, Supreme Court deliver a judgment. Individual freedom is having precious position, means we are giving importance to the individual freedom. At the same time, means in the Gopalan case, they are giving importance to the individual freedom. At the same time, through the constitutional amendment, Parliament is having right to impose the limitations on individual freedom. Means what they are communicating in Gopalan versus Madras state case or Gopalan case 1950, individuals are having freedom, but at the same time, Parliament is having right to impose the limitations on freedom. So in this context, we need to understand one thing. In the Article 31, we are having a right to property at the time of 1950. At the same time, in the Article 19, we are having a right to freedom. So this is also freedoms, property, right to property and related to property, freedom of property, both are the freedoms. So in Gopalan case, Supreme Court deliver a judgment, individual freedom is important. At the same time, Parliament is having right to impose the limitations through the constitutional amendment. So on that time, we have a chance to understand one thing. Supreme Court is giving privilege to the individual. Supreme Court try to protect the individual freedom, but at the same time, for the purpose of benefit of the society, Parliament is having, they provide an opportunity to Parliament to impose the limitations on individual freedom. In this process, after the Gopalan versus Madras state case, so in the year 1951 June, first constitutional amendment was done by the Parliament. So after the Gopalan case, immediately this first constitutional amendment done by the Parliament. In the first constitutional amendment, they observe one thing. With the effect of first constitutional amendment, 9th schedule was incorporated in the constitution. With the effect of first constitutional amendment, 9th schedule was incorporated in the constitution. So on that 9th schedule, the Parliament clarify one thing. If any issue is incorporated in the 9th schedule, that issue is not under the judicial review. So we will try to observe one thing. Gopalan versus Madras state case, they are giving importance to the individual freedom. At the same time, they provide opportunity to the Parliament to make the law to impose the limitations on individual freedom. So with the effect of that Gopalan case, after the Gopalan case, in the year 1951 June, first constitutional amendment was done by the Parliament. With the effect of first constitutional amendment, 9th schedule was incorporated. Up to the 1950 January 26, whenever we implement the constitution, on that time we are having only 8 schedules. With the effect of first constitutional amendment 1951 June, new schedule was incorporated, that is ninth schedule. In this ninth schedule, Parliament clarify with the effect of this first constitutional amendment, that is, if any issue is incorporated in the ninth schedule, if any issue is incorporated in the ninth schedule, it is not under the judicial review. Means no one can challenge that issues in the court of law, in front of the court, or no one is allowed to approach the court. This is first constitutional amendment. So we are having some doubts, sir. Whenever Supreme Court provide an opportunity to the individual freedom in the Gopalan case, why first constitutional amendment made by the Parliament in the year 1951 June? Some other doubt is also arise, sir. In the year 1950, we implement the constitution within the span of 1.5 years. Why should first constitutional amendment is done by the Parliament? We will try to understand one thing. Before going to clarify these things, you will try to observe in a broad manner. We conduct the Constituent Assembly elections in the year 1946, June and July. In our Constituent Assembly, princely states representatives are also there in our Constituent Assembly. They are not elected by the people. That princely states representatives are suggested by the kings and rulers and kings of the princely states. They send them their representatives to the Constituent Assembly. So they are enjoying a king status in the princely states on that conditions. If we prepare constitution against the landlords or against the jagirdars or against the aristocratic people, they are not supposed to prepare the constitution. Because of that, according to that conditions, they prepare our constitutional frameworks, they prepare the constitution. Finally, according to the modern requirements which change, so within the 1.5 year, first constitutional amendment was done by the Parliament in this 1951 June. On that time, already you are having some clarity about the preamble. In the preamble, we are having preamble is there. At the same time, directive principles of state policy is also discussed. So in the directive principles of state policy, in the article 39, we are thinking about the decentralization of wealth. So on that time, at the time of 1951, very few people, very few landlords, they are having lakhs of acres of land. So our ideology is different. We are thinking our constitution, our constitutional frameworks, they are thinking to establish the socialistic pattern of society. On that process, 13 different acts, parliament acts are made by the different acts, Parliament and state legislatures, they made the different acts related to land reform. 13 acts related to land reforms are made by the governments. Then these 13 acts are incorporated in the 9th schedule in the year 1951. So simply remember one thing, Gopalan versus Madras State Case 1950, individual freedom is important. At the same time, Parliament is having right to impose the limitations on individual freedom. Next, in the year 1951, June 1st, first constitutional amendment done by the Parliament, new schedule was incorporated in the Constitution, that is 9th schedule. In the 9th schedule, 13 land related laws are incorporated. So whatever the laws are incorporated in the 9th schedule, that laws are not under the judicial review. So this is a Gopalan case and first constitutional amendment. Next, after the first constitutional amendment, so many landlords, so many people are suffered and their properties are acquired by the government. On that circumstances, another case, another issue is challenged in the Supreme Court. You are having an idea. In India, we are having a parliamentary sovereignty. Simultaneously, judicial supremacy is also there. So because of that, after the first constitutional amendment in the year 1951 December, another case, Chempakam Dorai Rajan versus Madras State Case. This is also important case. Chempakam Dorai Rajan challenged the first constitutional amendment in the Supreme Court. So they are asking question. According to the constitution, according to the third part of the Indian constitution, we are having a fundamental rights. In the fundamental rights, we are having article 31, right to property. Then in the article 19, we are having right to freedom of property. So these first constitutional amendment violates our fundamental rights. They challenge. So on that time, Champakam Dorarajan versus Madras State case, Supreme Court deliver another judgment. On the time, they will try to balance between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Supreme Court is thinking about the balance. So in Champakam Dorarajan versus Madras State case, Supreme Court deliver a judgment. If any conflict is arise between the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policy, if any conflict is arise between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, on that circumstances, fundamental rights are having some privilege. They are giving privilege to the fundamental rights, but at the same time, through the constitutional amendment, Parliament is having right to impose the limitations on fundamental rights. So almost whatever the judgment delivered in the Gopalan case, almost similar judgment is delivered in Champakam Dorarajan case. In Champakam, whenever Champakam Dorarajan challenged the first constitutional amendment in the Supreme Court, Supreme Court deliver a judgment in Champakam Dorarajan case. If any conflict is arise between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, fundamental rights are having a privilege, but at the same time, through the constitutional amendment, Parliament have chance to impose the limitations on fundamental rights. So for the purpose of benefit of the society, for the purpose of benefit of the individual, Supreme Court is thinking on that manner. So the almost very similar judgment delivered in the Champakam Dorarajan case, whatever the judgment earlier is there in Gopalan case. So after this Champakam Dorarajan case, when Parliament is having an opportunity to make the laws related to establishment of socialistic pattern society. In the year 1964, with the effect of 17th constitutional amendment, related to decentralization of wealth, so many acts are made by the Parliament. So for the purpose of decentralization of wealth, different acts are made by the Parliament. Means few people are concentrating the property, land and wealth is concentrating with few people, whatever the jagirs, jamindaris, estates and these things. So because of that, in the year 1964, with the effect of 17th constitutional amendment, so many different types of laws related to decentralization of wealth made by the Parliament. After that, another case, very important case, after the 17th constitutional amendment 1964, and in another case, that 17th constitutional amendment and other issues are challenged. That is Golaknath versus Punjab State case 1967. Golaknath versus Punjab case state 1967. Golaknath is also a landlord. Golaknath versus Punjab State case. They challenge the 17th constitutional amendment 1964 and so many other issues. Whenever we are having a fundamental rights, these type of things are not good. They challenged. On that case, in Golaknath case, Supreme Court deliver a landmark judgment, that is, fundamental rights are sacrosanct. Fundamental rights are sacrosanct means most precious. Most precious. These fundamental rights are most precious. It is called a sacrosanct. So, sacrosanct ante pavitramainavi Telugulo. So, these fundamental rights are not amendable. Fundamental rights are sacrosanct and most precious. These fundamental rights are not amendable. So, we have chance to observe the different judgment whatever the Supreme Court deliver earlier. In Golaknath case, we have chance to observe the different judgment. In Gopalan case, Champakam Dorarajan case, judgments are different. In Gopalan and Champakam Dorarajan case, Supreme Court provide an opportunity to the Parliament to amend the fundamental rights indirectly, but in the Golaknath versus State of Punjab case, Supreme Court clearly mentioned, they declared fundamental rights are sacrosanct. These fundamental rights are not amendable. So it is one of the landmark judgment related to conflict between the fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. So whenever Supreme Court delivered these type of judgment in the year 1967, Parliament is not having an opportunity to amend the fundamental rights. So whenever Parliament is not having an opportunity to amend the fundamental rights, the goals and aspirations of our constitutional framers to establish the socialistic pattern society is not possible. Because of that, after the Golaknath case in the year 1971, Golaknath case, if you observe, it is in 1967. In the year 1971, 24th and 25th constitutional amendments made by the Parliament. Two important constitutional amendments we have a chance to observe in the year 1971. Just remember one thing, if any constitutional amendment, if you observe two different years, for example, 70, 71, 71, 72, so constitutional amendment made 1 year, it is implemented another year, that is the difference. So in the year 24th and 25th constitutional amendments are made by the Parliament. We will try to observe one thing.